He got a pick six. Pike tricked up and then ends the world with the big one-hand. Here's the pitch. Back up the middle. That's going to be trouble. That one hit the post and then headed in.
I trust the organization. I trust Pop to make all he can to come back.
Well, that was Wemby, the last day of the regular season, Bobby Mendez. You figure the Spurs are still going to say the same types of things. All concern is about Pop first, but you wonder how much, if anything, has changed given the recent events of the last week. We welcome you into the Sports Update, sponsored by Martinez and Associates from right here at the KLMO Studios, alongside Bobby Mendez, Hector Ledesma. Lot to cover on the show today, Bobby. Spurs, NFL draft. Hey, and we've also got a special guest coming in, a school first and a historic. What a fantastic season. We're going to get him in live to talk about everything that went into such a great season. But Bobby, thoughts here initially as we head into show number 3 here on the Sports Update?
Well, it's moving fast as we thought it would and knew it would. Lots of stuff to talk about, of course. Update on Pop. We know that he hasn't been well, and we thought he was getting better. And then another episode of his health, but we all wish the best for him, but we'll talk a little bit about that. And of course, looking forward to talking with Coach Romero of the Southwest Dragons.
Yeah, that's going to be a fantastic interview. We mentioned everything going on, of course, baseball as well, Rangers, missions here locally as well. But we're going to start with the NFL draft and those Dallas Cowboys. The draft starts on Thursday. It goes through Saturday, and the Dallas Cowboys have 10 picks. Now, of those 10 picks, 4 of them are in round 7. So it's a little bit misleading in terms of the number and quality of picks that they have. But they do have the 12th overall selection. So the question, what is Jerry Jones going to do at that 12th spot? I say Jerry, yes, it's a collaborative effort. That's what they like to tell you. But at the end of the day, who are we kidding? It's Jerry Jones, and he makes the decisions. Now, at number 12, there is talk that they might pick a kid from right up the street. Matthew Golden, a good receiver for the Texas Longhorns. Receiver's a spot. Cornerback's a spot. Who are they going to bring in, the Big D, to play at the house that Jerry built? Always could use an edge rusher. Stephon Gilmore, we talked about cornerback. He made a trip to the team headquarters a couple of days ago, saying if maybe there's talk that they might bring him back. No official word there. But as you look at the first pick that they have at 12, Bobby, your sense of what they need, what they should go for, however you want to tackle this, how do you see that 12th pick overall for the Cowboys?
Well, it is the Dallas Cowboys, so a lot of times you get a lot of analysis and you get anything, but you never know. You know, that room that decides what to do, they could take a different route, but we know that always a top spot receivers are always going to be good for the Cowboys. A lot of times they opt to go maybe defensive line there too. So I'm just going to sit back and watch because, again, anytime it's with the Dallas Cowboys, there's really no formula.
Yeah, the other receivers, well, first of all, to Bobby's point, they really want to get somebody next to CeeDee Lamb, right? Like, CeeDee's the guy.
Right.
They want to take pressure off of that. So the T-Mac kid over at Arizona, there's talk about him. Up at Ohio State, there's, you look at different possibilities there. But I think that's an area they're really targeting running back. They have several different holes on this team. It's just a matter of where they go first. And I think their mindset is generally going to be most talented player available, best player available. And I think they're going to try to get that guy at 12.
Yeah, and then I mean, this is not part of the draft, of course, too. But, you got to address all the situations, right? What is the future for Dak Prescott here in Dallas? Do they maybe try to draft someone that can give them some wiggle room or maybe make something happen somewhere else? So again, so many variables coming up here with the Dallas Cowboys. It's just been a really long time since they've done really well.
Yeah, Matthew Golden really making his mark with the Longhorns on their playoff run, to the national semifinals, and that's really where he kind of I don't want to say broke through. He was already a name. You already knew of Golden, but really where he kind of separated himself, and now you hear him at possibility at 12 for the Cowboys. Now, the other big news we talked about is at the top of the show, Greg Popovich and the Spurs. Now, we learned late last week that earlier in the week he was taken by ambulance from a Ruth's Chris after he reportedly fainted. Now, this is what the Spurs had to say, specifically Wemby. This is the full thought of what you heard a little while ago in terms of where the Spurs are, at least at the last day of the regular season.
I trust the organization. I trust Pop to make all he can to come back, to get his energy back, and I also trust Mitch to grow into that role. So it's, I think we're in good hands. We're supporting each other all throughout the organization. So I don't know. It's something I'm ready for anything, and I know the organization will do the good decisions.
Vic, realizing the uncertainty, right? Said you flat out heard him say, "I don't know."
Right.
But within that, he was saying, "Pop's going to do everything he can to get back. If not, Mitch Johnson's going to be the guy." So here the Spurs are, and as we move further away, I think it's becoming increasingly harder to look at the situation and say, well, is it still maybe as open-ended as it was? Because when the Mount stroke first happened, back in November now, I think a lot of us thought, well, let's see how he progresses. Health first, obviously. But we'll see where he is post-All-Star break, right? Yeah. Then the All-Star break came, and then the timeline was pushed back. And then later on in the season, about a month left, he's not coming back. And now this. So it seems like I shouldn't say even it seems like the timeline is getting pushed back further and further. At some point, the timeline's going to end.
Yeah, and like we talked about the last show, I still feel that it's up to Coach Popovich to decide when that time is up. But I agree, Hector. Things have kind of moved in that direction where, it is a concern. It is a concern that this happened again. And, you always wish for the best for Coach Pop and everyone. But at the same time, yeah, we as fans care about how he is and what will happen to him. But at the same time, too, the show must go on. And I know just based off of everything, no personal relationship with Coach Pop, but I feel that he wants the same, right? He wants the same for the team. And I can assure you, he does not like anyone spending moments talking about this.
Right.
So I know that this is probably the farthest thing from his mind. But the most important thing is, A, that he is healthy, and then B, the Spurs are set up. And like Wemby said, they're ready to go, whatever they have to do.
I wish I could cover Pop as the Spurs head coach for the rest of my life. Like in engaging him in interview sessions and those sessions, as much as he beats up on the media, and sometimes you go, okay, Pop's just in a bad mood. It really is enlightening just about every time for me to have that kind of back and forth and just listen to him answer questions and the thought processes that goes through his mind. So that being said, two things can be true at the same time. There is nothing more important than health for Greg Popovich. Case in point, that's it.
Agreed.
At the same time, if you're having a basketball-related conversation, it would be foolish not to take the events of last week, the last several months, and dating back to November, all under the umbrella, obviously, of his age into effect. It's just you don't live in a bubble, and everything has to be taken into account.
And at the same time, there are things happening around the league that opportunities might be there for other coaches if the Spurs decide to make other changes or whatever there is. But because those things are happening, you might not have a certain coach available in another time period. So those things, unfortunately, have to be talked about.
Right. So while there's uncertainty surrounding Greg Popovich, there should be no uncertainty when it comes to Stefan Castle and his Rookie of the Year chances. A look at the numbers compared with the other finalists. This list was released officially by the NBA over the weekend. Zachary Reese-Shea, fellow freshman like Wemby, Jalen Wells, the other two finalists. Look at those numbers. Castle leads in points per game. He's got more rebounds per game. He's got more assists per game. He played slightly more minutes. Now, for anybody who wants to say, yeah, but Reese-Shea helped the Hawks get into the play-in. Well, the Hawks won 4 more games than they did last year. The Spurs won 12 more games than they did last year, minus Victor Wembanyama as of mid-February. The Grizzlies, they did win 21 more games, if you're looking at that as an argument for Jalen Wells. But hey, there's a caveat to that. Ja Morant missed basically all of last season. So him being back is the reason they won 21 more games than last year, as opposed to that falling heavily on Jalen Wells' shoulders. So the numbers beyond the numbers, they suggest, Bobby, there is no doubt, the debate should end at Stephon Castle, in my view, being the 2024-25 NBA Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, what do they call it? Dotting the I's and crossing the T's, formalities, I would say.
Yeah.
I like Castle's confidence, the conversations that you've had with him. Those are great conversations, and it is important for us to get those kind of players and that recognition. So good for him. He's done a fantastic job this season, and looking forward to it for next season as well.
He would give the Spurs a second straight Rookie of the Year after they hadn't had one since Timmy in 1997-98. And, of course, you add Big Dave in there in 89-90 as the 4 Spurs who won Rookie of the Year. Or the 3. I'm already going full, counting Castle as the 4th, and maybe I should. But he would join him as the 4th.
And when
of
do
the
we
3.
expect that announcement?
It's going to come later in the month. Well, we're already in late April. It's going to come like in mid-May. Right around there is when it should come in terms of official Rookie of the Year winner. In terms of what's going on today here on Sports Update, we are just getting started. On the other side, Texans. We're not forgetting about the Texans. That and later, interview with a historic coach who just went on a historic run. We're back after this.
Been in a crash? It's illegal for lawyers to contact you first. If yours did, it could ruin your case. Don't trust law firms that break the law. Choose Martinez and Associates, voted San Antonio's best law firm 3 years in a row. After you've been in a crash, go with the law firm you can trust. Call Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
Call 210-337-1111. That's 210-337-1111.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 shine. Walking on beams of light, 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 light.
Continuing our draft talk right here on the Sports Update presented by Martinez and Associates. Talked about the Cowboys earlier in the draft. Can't not talk about the Texans, Bobby. Nick Caserio and company. They have 7 picks in the first round. Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 5, and then 2 7th-round picks. Their first selection comes at the 25th overall pick for Caserio. Now the Texans, a little bit down last year after expectations were high going into the season. There's talk that they might be looking to maybe move up, maybe grab an offensive lineman, maybe surround Stroud with a little bit more help. Talent was not the issue last year. I think they suffered from kind of the expectations jinx. I think it hit them a little bit last season.
A little bit too much success too early. But anytime you look at the Texans, I can recall countless seasons where expectations are high, and whether it's with great draft picks, because they've been able to pull in some really good draft picks over the years, I should say. But it's just a matter, again, of them having that consistency. That's what's lacked for the Texans. And hopefully this year with this draft, they can get that.
And I think they are on the right path. I think what you saw was your typical, I think you hit it on the head. Maybe not a variation of a little bit too much, too fast, but at the same time, we got to meet that expectation as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do, especially with the skill people they have returning in the mix. Of course, the Sports Update is made possible by Martinez and Associates. I want to tell you about our presenting sponsor right here on the Sports Update. Martinez and Associates, for us, it's personal, and it sure is. Great law firm, even better people. Go visit Desi Martinez and folks, if ever in need. 337-1111, the phone number, 337-41s, Martinez-law.com, the website for Martinez and Associates. Now, as we get back to the Sports Update and continuing with NBA talk here, let's switch back a little bit there because the NBA playoffs are going on. Want to get your thoughts on which series you are looking forward to the most right now?
I think the interesting one for me, Knicks Pistons.
Yeah.
I think Pistons making a good turnaround this year and making a chance in the playoffs here. So, and then also Houston and Golden State is one that I'm kind of looking at, but looking heavily at the Pistons right now.
Lakers Timberwolves is the one that I'm, and I know that's kind of easy because it's got LeBron, it's got Luka. You know, and every time Luka does anything, it kind of takes me back a little bit to Kawhi a couple years ago when he was with the Raptors that first year after the Spurs. And there's a little part of you that's going, I really hope Kawhi doesn't win a championship like his first year after the Spurs. Like, what would it be if Luka helped the Lakers to a championship when the whole point of Dallas trading him was that he couldn't help them win a championship after they'd just been to the finals? I'm just thinking of Mavericks fans when I watch that series kind of play out, and it's 1-1 after 2 games.
Yeah, and LeBron still, that guy's just amazing. LeBron has this great physical. He's just taking care of his body so well, and he is just so relevant. And no one can argue the fact that no one's played this long and been so relevant. I don't think ever. And
the other part of that Lakers T-Wolves series for me is Anthony Edwards with Minnesota. I think, to me, the most dynamic young player we have in the league. And so just to him go toe-to-toe against LeBron and Doncic, and he's got help. Those Timberwolves, Naz Reid, several talent up and down that roster for Minnesota. So it's going to be interesting to see how that series plays out. Sports update still to come. After the break, we bring in a man who led a local team on a run on which they hadn't been, and that's saying something because this particular program had enjoyed tons of success over the last 5+ years. We're back with head coach Juan Romero right after this.
It's a bad idea to run a foot race against these guys, just like it's a bad idea to go up against the billion-dollar auto insurance industry all alone.
Hire Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
Welcome back to the Sports Update, sponsored by Desi Martinez and Associates. And joining us in studio is a man who enjoyed all kinds of success and at a historic level, Coach Juan Romero from the Southwest High School boys soccer team. Coach Romero, thanks so much for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, guys.
Now, Coach Romero coming off the high of doing something no other South team at Southwest had ever done before. Has it set in yet what you guys were able to accomplish? 25-2, coming this close once you're there. Have you processed the whole thing yet?
I don't think it's really completely hit yet, but yeah, it's been over a week now. So, you start watching the film of what the game was like. You start, like you said, man, you start seeing how close, it really, really was to this is something you dream about as a kid growing up, to be in a state final, to go win it. And it sucked. It hurt, knowing that we were so close. We can taste it. I mean, we went down twice in the game, and, both times we were able to come back, and I felt like, man, there's no way we're going to lose this game. But this is why we love sports. This is why we hate them. It's somebody has to lose, and the ball just didn't bounce our way there at the end.
And as we chat with Coach Romero, you're seeing on your screen some highlights and video put together by the great folks over at Southwest ISD and Southwest High School in terms of the historic year the Dragons just enjoyed.
Coach, again, great thank you for being here. And the overall success of Southwest, whether it's in football, basketball, just sports in general, talk about the environment there at Southwest.
No, it's the place to be, man. One of the things that I love about Southwest, when I first got there, you would hear everybody say, it's like a family, it's like a family. But now that I've been there 7 years, you truly see where coaches are helping each other out. You see the kids, and especially in my team, we've really have brothers on the team. We got cousins on the team. Coach Luddy and my assistant, who's been there, I think, for 25 years now, he's coached parents, he's coached uncles. So it's great when you go out to a game and you're leaving and you're seeing, all the old players come by. You're seeing all the old family come by and say hi and congratulate us. So it's a lovely family to be at Southwest. And like you said, man, what makes that place special is also the people we work with. We have some great coaches there, and you guys are seeing the success we've had this year.
And it's not a kind of flash in the pan for Southwest either. Yes, the boys soccer team was the first to ever reach the state final in the athletic history of any team at Southwest, but 7 straight district titles for Southwest. Coach Romero has been there for 3 of them now. Regional final appearances before, regional semifinals, I should say, when you got to the regional tournament. Coach, what was it like to break through this season, get past that regional semis, then win the regional final, then win the state semis to set up the showdown up at Birkelbach?
No, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, we've talked about this to our players year in, year out, that we feel at Southwest we've had the talent to make these type of runs. We've always felt that we had the players, we've had the staff to be able to do it. And, unfortunately, there's been a few times where we run into some really strong Valley teams. And then last year, I would say, was probably the first year where, I felt we were the best team there at the regional tournament. And we missed the PK to tie it with 40 seconds left, and it's a kid that had made every single one for 4 years, And it's just, we just didn't have that little bit of a luck that the champion needed. And I felt this year, we had all the right pieces. We had a lot of guys returning from the year before. Those guys had the taste in their mouth of like, okay, this is not just something the coaches are saying. This is something we've now witnessed, that we are the best team and we can go out and be one of the best teams in the state. And I feel like it was a big testament that they were out there and almost did it this year.
10 seniors, if I'm not mistaken, right, Coach?
Yes,
10 seniors on this year's squad? Yeah.
Talk about some of those leaders. Who are the ones on that soccer team with that senior leadership that are going on to more soccer?
Yeah, so we, one of our first team captains, Brian Plasencia, we had him for 3 years. He's been there all the 3 years I've been there, and he's kind of been our brain there in the middle. He's the one that's moved the ball for us, for 3 years. So he's going to be a big piece that we'll miss. He had every pass he made was on point, and like I said, he was truly the brains of that team, and he's going to go on to go play at Shriner next year. Then we have Jonathan Huerta, who stepped up big time for us on the defensive role. And, I mean, that kid has grown up tremendously over the past few years. He was a kid that when you first got to him, I mean, Coach Luddian does a great job of turning these guys into men. And, I mean, Coach Luddian every day was just ripping them, trying to enforce that discipline that we needed on the back line. And this year, Jonathan took a huge step, and he's still trying to decide where he's going to go. And hopefully, within the next week or so, we'll know where he's going to go play. And I think one of the other seniors that played a big role for us this year was Cesar Angel, was our striker. He's been a real timid kid, and this year he's grown up so much to be a true leader for us up top. He scored 30 goals. I think he was the second leading goal scorer for us this year. And in the big games, I mean, he stepped up. It was just unfortunate. He would have been on SportsCenter top 10 if he would have made that last goal with 3 seconds left in the state final. He made an unbelievable play. And like I said, to be a champion, you need a little bit of luck. Yeah. And he had those 2 opportunities there at the end, and just goalie made a nice save.
Yeah, the way it works sometimes, but again, a fantastic run. Now, Coach, you've hit on this throughout the course of our conversation, but to be the first team at Southwest to play for a state championship, I imagine that comes with a great source of pride. Oh,
absolutely. I mean, from our superintendent to our board to our ADs to the community, I mean, that week leading up to it, I love how UIL changed, not having a regional tournament, not having a state tournament, because you almost get to enjoy it a little bit more. You get to prepare for it a little bit more. So I thought our school district did a great job of showing the boys all the love, showing how proud they were of us being able to play in that final game, So it was an unbelievable experience. The boys did a great job of leaving it out there on the field, and as a coach, that's all you can ask for.
Now, Coach Juan Romero, deep San Antonio roots, but a very interesting story as well. So, St. Anthony's grad, still a very young man, class of 2008. UTSA grad, 2012. Coached at Lytle for 3 years. Coached at Highlands for 2 years, enjoying success at both those stops. The Southwest girls first for 4 years, and now year number 3 with the Southwest boys. Before all of that, born in Spain. Came over to San Antonio at such a young age. You were telling me, Coach, your parents Catholic missionaries, and that's
Yes.
how you ended up in San Antonio.
Yes, sir. They were actually sent, now that the Pope just died, we were sent by Pope John Paul II. My parents were back in the 90s, so we came at an early age from Spain. Obviously we still have our uncles, aunts, cousins that live over there. So we go back in the summers and stuff. But yeah, the reason we were here in San Antonio was because Pope John Paul II, sent my parents over here to be a family in mission. And so me and my brothers grew up here in San Antonio. We're 5. Me and Daniel, we were the 2 oldest. We were born in Spain, and then the younger 3 were born here. And, it's been an unbelievable journey where, we've seen how if you let God lead your path, he makes it perfect. And, I'm a testament of that.
Córdoba of Spain, by the way, in case you're wondering. Where in Spain?
South of Spain.
That's the south of Spain.
Certainly some blessings for sure.
Yeah.
And making it what Hector is referred to as the year of the dragon. I'm sure you guys as well, but I thought that was pretty fitting.
Yeah, fantastic year all the way around. Can't say congratulations enough of Southwest boys soccer team in not only making school history, but taking the entire community, Coach, on the ride that you guys did. It was a thrill just to witness from afar. We can only imagine what it was like to be in it. Congratulations. I know you've got a lot of folks to replace next year, but with that tradition and the history that you've been so instrumental in, I have no doubt you'll see Southwest, if not at the top, near the top of the district standings again next year when they'll shoot for an 8th straight district title. No pressure, Coach. No pressure whatsoever. Coach Wando Medal of Southwest, again, getting to the state tournament, getting to the state final, I should say. First team ever in Southwest high school history to ever do it. We appreciate the time, Coach. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for having me.
Of course. We are not done here on the sports update. Talking baseball coming up. Rangers, they got a big stretch. And what's ahead for the Missions? That continues right here on the sports update, sponsored by Martinez and Associates.
Been in a crash? It's illegal for lawyers to contact you first. If yours did, it could ruin your case. Don't trust law firms that break the law. Choose Martinez and Associates, voted San Antonio's best law firm 3 years in a row. After you've been in a crash, go with the law firm you can trust. Call Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.
Call 210-337-1111. That's 210-337-1111.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 shine. Walking on beams of light, 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 light.
Back here on the sports update, brought to you by Martinez and Associates, Bobby Mendez, Hector Ledesma. And hey, let's talk some baseball as well, Bobby. We're into the Major League season, first couple of weeks. The Rangers have an interesting series coming up this weekend against the Giants. And I say that because the last 2 teams the Rangers have played that had winning records hasn't really gone as well. Coincidentally, those are the 2 series that Texas has lost. They fell to the Cubs, lost that set, and then they've also lost to the Dodgers. Now, in between, they've beaten Boston, they've beaten Cincinnati. We're talking about series victories here. They've beaten the Rays, they've beaten the Mariners, and they're doing well against the Angels and now the A's. But when they faced winning teams, and specifically from the National Leagues, again, the Cubs and the Dodgers, they got the Giants coming up, they haven't fared so well. It's early, so I'm not saying time to panic or the Rangers are done, but it's just an interesting trend here that's developing, especially with the Giants coming up.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to do, have to reel you back in and tell you, hey, this is early. We are in the very first weeks of baseball, which I'm glad it's back. But, man, how baseball, one of the longest grueling seasons there is in pro sports. And you'll see waves of streaks and losing streaks, and these teams just getting back together again. Granted, of course, they have that springtime baseball coming in, but yeah, I'll have to admit, more like a more casual baseball fan. I do pay attention, of course, but really, once it gets towards that end of the season, yeah, I get zeroed in on that playoff run.
One of the things that always comes to mind for me about how long baseball is. But by the time the Major League Baseball season ending, so is the high school football season. Like, that's how long it is. Like, we're already in a season that is going to end when high school football does. Like, think about how far away that is when you think about seasons in general.
Yeah, and then we're we're just in spring. You go through a couple of seasons, if you will. You get all the spring, you go through the summer and into the fall.
Yeah.
So
Takes forever.
it is a long season. You know, I played baseball all the way up until my freshman year in high school. I played since I was 4 years old, if that's the earliest you can play, I guess, at T-ball. You know, and I just remember telling my dad every season, I don't want to play baseball anymore. And he says, well, you've got to do it. So finally, as a freshman, that was my last year.
All right, so local baseball, the Missions, see what's on tap for them over this next week. They're in the midst of a 6-game series right now at Amarillo. That's going to take them through next week, the 27th to be exact. And then shortly after that, they start a 6-game set against Corpus Christi right here at Wolf Stadium. That one starts April 29th and goes through May 4th. And so a chance to get out to the Wolf next week, catch some Missions baseball as San Antonio's minor league team moving closer and closer, by the way, to getting a new stadium. The Missions have already contracted and made an agreement with a local designing, not a local, but a firm that's going to come in and design what the new stadium is going to look like, kind of in that downtown area. And so they're in the midst of making that much news. But in the meantime, you see what they've got on tap here, not only the rest of this week, but also next week as well. Hey, this show brought to you by Martinez and Associates. Their phone number, 337-1111. Again, 337-1111. The website, martinez-law.com. Go see them. Anything you need in terms of personal injury needs, things along those lines. Great folks at Martinez and Associates. For us, it's personal. That is going to wrap it up for show number 3 right here on the Sports Update, brought to you by Martinez and Associates. Bobby, closing thoughts here as we wrap up another week in the books here?
Well, another week in the books, Hector, and what a great interview we had with Coach Romero. Anyone that, in particularly in the south part of San Antonio, that gets to make a run that deep in any sport, whatever it is, all the way to the state finals, I think that's pretty impressive. And big congratulations to Coach Romero and to everyone over at Southwest, where their teams in all sports are really doing very well.
Yeah, shout out also to the Davenport girls. They also made the state final, and they're in like year 3 of existence already getting to the state final. But it also goes to show how cool it is for Southwest, years and years of getting there. And as Coach Romero mentioned, years of getting to the regional semis and finally being able to break through. Always love hearing stories like that. So until next week, for Bobby, for Cesar Mendez, and for the great folks here at K Alamo, Homer Lopez and company, who run KLMO, we say thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week right here on the Sports Update, brought to you by Martinez and Associates.
You're gonna see me shine, 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 walking on beams of light, 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 light. Oh,
Ready? Set! Go!
It's a bad idea to run a foot race against these guys, just like it's a bad idea to go up against the billion-dollar auto insurance industry all alone.
Hire Martinez and Associates. With us, it's personal.